the Fleece Inn, a medieval pub steeped in history, soaked in legend and warmed by firelight, though not always by welcome company. This is the story of betrayal, footsteps, and a single wet footprint. The betrayal at the Fleece Inn. It was on a storm-blackened evening that the traveller came into Bretforton. The road from Evesham had become little more than a sluice of mud and puddles, and the wind whipped around the hedgerows like a warning. The man's coat was soaked through, his boots filled with cold water, and his patience worn thin. But there, ahead, just beyond the crooked signpost, was the promise of warmth. A flickering amber glow from crooked windows beneath a sagging thatch. He squinted through the downpour. The Fleece Inn. The building was older than it had any right to be, timber-framed, with walls that leaned inwards, and doorways barely tall enough to pass through upright. The place looked as if it had exhaled history with every winter wind. He pushed open the door and was met with instant warmth. The glow of firelight, the murmur of locals at the bar, and the comforting scent of hops, smoke, and something roasting gently in the back kitchen. The landlord, a man with wiry arms and grey at his temples, nodded a welcome. "Evening. You'll be wanting a bed, I reckon? I'll pay whatever it costs. As long as there's a fire, you're in luck." Room upstairs, fires lit, beds dry, mostly. He slid over a tarnished brass key. "Second door on the left. Mind your head, the beams have caught better men." The room was plain, wooden floor, narrow bed, low eaves that made the ceiling feel like it might press down in the night. A fire danced in the hearth, and the window gave a fine view of the wind-blown village green. He hung his coat near the flames and sat on the edge of the bed. Outside, the storm deepened. Thunder rolled somewhere far off, but inside, it was still. Until the footsteps started. It began softly, like someone pacing above his head. Boots on boards, deliberate, uneven. But this room was at the top of the building. He knew it. There was no floor above, only attic and beams and old roof slates. He stood, listened. The steps continued, from one side of the ceiling to the other, then paused, then again. He crossed to the hearth and looked up. The sound was louder now, as if whoever was above was circling. Then, silence. He did not sleep well, and when he woke in the pale morning light, something else caught his attention. Right by the fireplace, on the warped wooden floor, was a single footprint, damp, booted, as if someone had stepped forward out of the firelight and disappeared. He said nothing as he took breakfast. But a week later, curiosity got the better of him. He returned to the inn, not just for warmth this time, but for answers. Late that evening, long after the last drinkers had drifted away, the traveller approached the bar where the landlord was polishing glasses. "I stayed here last week," he began. The landlord gave a nod of vague recognition. "I think I heard something in the room, upstairs, footsteps above me." "But that can't be, can it?" The landlord slowly lowered the glass. He didn't speak at first. Then, "No, that room's the top, nothing above but roof space." Then who, or what, was walking up there? The landlord hesitated, then poured 2 measures of something dark and strong and passed one over. "Only telling you this because you came back," he said. "Most don't." The story went back to the time of the Civil War, when allegiances shifted with the wind, and villages like Bretforton played host to soldiers of both sides. One such man, a royalist, wounded and on the run, had come to the Fleece. The innkeeper at the time, not this man's kin but long since dead, took pity and gave him shelter. He was hidden in that very room under the roof, tended, fed, but someone betrayed him. They say the Parliament men came in the night, dragged him out, hanged him from the old tree at the edge of the green. didn't even wait for sunrise. The traveller frowned. The innkeeper gave him up? The landlord gave a slow nod. And 2 weeks later, that same innkeeper was found dead. No sign of struggle, no blood, just gone, cold. And on the floor beside him, a single wet footprint. The traveller returned to the room that night. He told himself it was nonsense, a fireside tale, something to frighten drunkards. But as the hours deepened and the fire dimmed, the room changed. The shadows felt heavier. The ceiling creaked. And then the sound returned. Step, pause, step, drag. Above him, where no man should walk, someone moved. He held his breath. The sound stopped. Then, softly, a breath near his ear, not from above, from the room. He spun round. Empty. But on the floor, beside the hearth, glistened a fresh mark, a footprint. He left at dawn, face pale, boots barely tied, but as he passed through the tap room, he stopped and looked back at the landlord. "One more thing," he said. "Do you remember the name of the innkeeper?" The landlord raised an eyebrow. "No record of him, but locals always said he had a name like yours." The traveller didn't smile, just turned and stepped into the rising mist. The Fleece Inn still stands in Bretforton. The upper room is no longer let to guests. But if the night is wet and the wind is high, some say you can hear a bootstep crossing the rafters. Looking for the man who turned him in,